Thank you very much, Helena, and a very good evening to everybody. Welcome to the webinar this evening, 17th of January. It's just before 7 o'clock here in the UK, 8 o'clock in Eastern Europe. We have got a fantastic webinar this evening. It's a panel discussion. For those of you who are looking to do district leadership either in the coming Toastmasters year or in future years, this is going to be a really useful hour. Before we start, I just want to go through the usual housekeeping rules. Firstly, to let everybody know this is being recorded and will be available privately on YouTube until we decide to release all the webinar series. So if you don't want to be recorded, then please turn your camera off. We really do, though, want to see as many people as we can. See everybody's smiling faces. It does help the audience. It does help the panelists and helps with the feedback. If you can please make sure that your microphones are muted during the session unless you're asked to turn them on in terms of questions and answers. There will be a Q&A session at the end, so don't worry about that. We will make sure that there is plenty of time for Q&A. You can also put your questions during the session in the chat window, and I'll keep across that, and we will make sure those questions are also answered at the end. This is going to be a lot of information, a lot of discussion, so please pay attention. It is really worth your while on this. And if anybody has any questions, then let me know. The recording of this will be available hopefully in a couple of days' time. It depends whether my computer pays or not. And I will send out a link once everything's done for people to then be able to view the recording. Our lead tonight, our panel chair tonight, is a man that is so well known in District 91 that he needs almost no introduction, and probably in many districts around Europe he needs very little introduction as well. Our current immediate past district director, a man who has steered District 91 through a tough couple of years, and we are so grateful to have had his leadership skills. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our panel chair this evening, Mr. Florian Bay.
Thank you very much for this introduction, Andy, and very good evening, everybody. It is absolutely thrilling to see so many people on the call this evening from all over District 91, all over Europe, and indeed all over the world. Right now in District 91, we are looking for people to step up to become district leaders, and not only in District 91, all over the Toastmaster world. It's this time of the year where there are friendly conversation, nudges, and interviews for people to consider stepping up to their next step in their Toastmasters journey. As we kind of moved into online meeting, I started to get more and more interested in these panel discussions and things, and wanted to get more experience with them. I've been to quite a few, and I just decided the best way for people to get to know about leadership is not for me to talk about my experience and so on, but to people to ask questions and get a variety of perspective this evening. Tonight, you're going to be hearing from 4 panelists, which are all very experienced leaders with decades of Toastmasters leadership experience between all of them. We've got the current area D29 director, Ruth Ribeiro, which looks after some of the clubs in West London. And she's also a past administration manager for District 91. We've got Lukas Liebich, immediate past district director for District 110, which is Croatia, Czechia, Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, Moldova, and last but certainly not least, Ukraine. And we also have Svetlana Breum, past district director for District 95, and kind of like Lukas, she's been through various districts has evolved in size during her career. Initially, it started with everything in Europe, which was pretty much east of France and east of Italy, but in her year, it was Denmark, Germany, Norway, and Sweden. So Germany and the Scandinavian countries. The format this evening is all of our panelists are going to introduce themselves for a couple of minutes with an emphasis on their why they decided to step up into leadership. After they introduce, I've got one question for each of the panelists, which is actually slightly different for them. And he's going to pick up on one of the things I have observed them doing in their leadership journey, and that kind of applies to them specifically. And after that, the floor will be open. You can ask as many questions as you want. And I'll close off with a very brief presentation on the next step, should you decide to step up into leadership in District 91. I'm quite excited because we are going to start interviewing people potentially as early as this coming week. So it is moving, guys. Now, the first speaker I'd like to introduce and share their experience, their why, is Ruth, our current area director and past admin manager. Over to you. Please tell us a bit more about you and why you've decided to step up into leadership.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Why did I decide to step up into leadership? I'd had an absolutely amazing experience as club president of Riverside Communicators, and that year culminated in my going to the International Convention in Chicago and then Denver, and I was asked if I would join the district admin team in Denver. And as part of my Toastmasters promise, it does say if you're asked to take on a leadership role, then step up. And you do only get the experiential learning if you take that step. If I've got a couple of minutes, I can elaborate a little bit on my role. So as district manager, I was the official minute taker of and one of 7 members alongside the parliamentarian to be seated in the top table in the district executive committee and the district council for the 2019-2020 Toastmasters year. I was responsible for pre-registrations and checking quoracy at the start of the meeting. In one meeting, I was with the parliamentarian, and so we had a list of all the people that had registered. And as people were joining and we saw the participant's name, I started at the top of the list and the parliamentarian started at the bottom of the list, and we were literally ticking names off so that we could get an accurate quoracy number for our district council meeting. I was asked to read the district mission statement in one of the meetings. I took copious notes on salient points and ensured that motions were accurately recorded, including the nature of the motions, the proposer and seconder, and the outcomes. I also made notes of club officer successes and challenges to help the team learn how to best support our area and division directors and the clubs that they serve. I worked very closely with Florian Bay, our district director, and the extended leadership team, who were responsible for serving 5,000 members in District 91, UK South. I was a trusted member of the DLT, privy to planning, strategies, and agenda setting. I participated in weekly team meetings every Sunday evening from 7 to 8 p.m, and we attended a number of division training events throughout the year. On occasions, I acted as the face of Toastmasters during candidate interviews and in Camden studios, where our PR manager recorded my why videos. I saw my role as supportive, so I bought breakfast, milk, teas, pizza for lunch, and basically waited and put people at ease while they were waiting for their turn to do the videos. I attended multiple division events and carried out support roles where needed, whilst upholding the Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence. We provided emotional support to one another, and we gave each other 360 degrees feedback throughout the year. What makes me tick? Networking opportunities, being of service in the heart of the Toastmasters community, where your efforts are not only appreciated, but also celebrated. Experiential learning and growth from the inside out. But you've got to step up. You've got to do the work. The inside out growth only comes from doing the work through perseverance and a mindset of service and excellence in your own contributions. We learn best in moments of enjoyment, but there is also an element of no pain, no gain when it comes to stepping out of your comfort zone. Through experiential learning and proactivity, we learn which roles suit us best and which we most enjoy, which roles bring out the best in us so that we can shine and place ourselves in the best suited environment for our personality and talents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for this beautiful introduction and beautiful speech. Excellent. Next person I've got on my screen to share his or her my why is going to be Lukas. Lukas, over to you.
Hi, everyone. So 2 things I wanted to share. The first is how I got active in district leadership. I joined Toastmasters in 2012 because I really enjoyed the idea of public speaking. I wasn't afraid, but I didn't have anywhere to speak. So with Toastmasters, I had the chance to speak and to improve. And I really loved the idea. And when I found out there are some officers and there are some district officers who are organizing trainings, I thought, well, it's great. But at the time, I come to a club officer training, and these people who are supposed to be very advanced in Toastmasters, because they are officers, the trainings they delivered were actually rather boring. That's I can say that honestly. And I thought, well, these guys, they sort of suck at it. I think I can do this better. And I think, I can promote the idea of Toastmasters much better if, we have club officer trainings that are fun and exciting and people come and enjoy them, right? You can do some crazy stuff. Because I always loved the idea of public speaking. I also was taking part in many contests. And I thought I could, marry this leadership and speaking in Toastmasters. So that was why I got active in this leadership. I think what is maybe more interesting is how I got, let's say, really, really active, how I got things started once I became area director. At the time, when I became area director, I was area director for part of Prague. It's the capital of the Czech Republic. But what I really wanted to be is responsible for Toastmasters in the whole country. For some reason, it just has a different ring to it. And at the time, there were 5 other people who were area directors, so potentially my competitors. But also, I was worried that actually the division director at the time, he could run for re-election. So this was my group of competitors. And in this call, there is Kalin Gilia and another panelist, Svetlana Breum. So she knows me from that period. And maybe you'll be able to confirm, I really wanted to be 100% sure that the eastern half of Europe will want to elect me as division director. But of course, nobody knew me, right? I was just some random guy from Prague. And in the district conference, who cares? You just have 2 minutes to give the speech and that's it. But I really, really wanted to make sure that I will be the division director. So I decided, okay, Lukas, you have to become the most famous Toastmaster in the eastern half of Europe. And I started doing some really crazy things. I pushed myself to be present, to give workshop at any opportunity. Again, I think Svetlana and Kalin, they can confirm me that whenever there was our district officer training, I was there doing something, whatever. I also started doing this 1 speech every week challenge. So every week I would prepare a speech and then I would upload it to YouTube. And also I started doing some really stupid things because I thought it would be good to do something stupid to draw attention to myself. And so in one club officer training, there were about 50 people. In the end, I thought, okay, what is it that people will remember? Maybe we can sing something, but what should we sing? Maybe something really, silly. So I picked, okay, why don't we do maybe one more time for Britney Spears? But what if people don't know the lyrics? No problem, I'll put the lyrics on the slides. So in the end, in our club officer training, there were 50 people, everybody together singing Baby One More Time. And I thought, they would be angry at me. But for some reason, they actually enjoyed it. So I say, okay, maybe people like it. So then I did it in all my other trainings. And I believe both Svetlana and Kalin already did sing a baby one more time in one of our trainings.
Wow, I've learned something about Lukas I didn't really know. Lukas and I have been good friends since we met 2.5 years ago, but I knew there was something between him and Britney Spears, but I've never been to one of his workshop yet. So now I kind of want to see what it's all about. The Britney Spears and Toastmasters. Who would have thought about it? See, creativity is one of the things we do really well in Toastmasters. Now, as our next panelist got something maybe that I didn't know about that she can share with us, but I know that she's had an interesting journey in leadership as well. Murielle, the floor is yours. What's your why?
Why? Good evening, Toastmasters, honorable guest. Well, although I did a business school, European in those days, and I joined a big corporate, I kind of lost a bit of confidence and I didn't really practice leadership in my job. But then I saw the light and I joined Toastmasters 5 years ago to be a better speaker, as we all do. But then I was tapped on the shoulder to be a president. And I did presidents and I loved it. And I would say that's probably the biggest, well-rounded first leadership role that one can have in Toastmasters. And it's definitely, you know, I can see some nodding heads as well. After that, there's 3 things that I was kind of inspired me to become an area director, which I did 2 years ago. I was flattered. I was asked to become an area director. I think Ruth mentioned that as well. It made me feel, right, I could do it. You know, I have it in me to be a leader. And if you get asked, as Ruth says, step up or think about it. Think about what you can get from it. I had the time and I could think if I could get use of that time, doing a leadership role in Toastmaster would be great. Why? 2 reasons. One, I really enjoyed networking. And I thought I could go to all these different clubs and go beyond my club and see what's different and where the best practice is and share that within the area. And I also love improving things, always looking for better things and giving back to the club. They've given me so much in terms of speaking improvements. The second reason, I thought it could be quite good for my career. It was like a faith thing, like kind of a fuzzy idea. I thought there'd be some skills I had. To be fair, there was an overlap with my job because I do corporate things and I do some kind of things that we do in area director roles, but the areas are new. There's always something to improve. And Toastmaster is just a wonderful organization where it gives you a chance to give it a go. Within its support, so you're not on your own. There's always people with great experience. There's district leaders, there's peers, there's experienced people that'll be here to support you on your journey. And I've had so many mentors. I mean, I can mention even Florian. I can mention Mary Robson. There are people, DTMs or people around that are here for you. So I thought, yeah, give it a go. I'll give it a go, and I did. Honestly, I didn't know how I would do it, but I gave it a go. And I got so much more out of it. I didn't do it. I made a real difference straight away. The networking wasn't just networking. It gave me a sense of belonging and of joy. Honestly, it felt like you're part of something. And we all go through some challenging times in life. And hey, 2020 was one of those. But my year before that was also full of challenges. And thanks God I had Toastmaster to help me through that and to make me a better person. And finally, on the career side, well, as Elena said at the start, well, I got a new job. Now, my company reduced the staff by 25%. And I thought, this is a sign maybe I'll leave, but actually I didn't. And I felt so energized. I felt so fresh. I felt like I was kind of alive. And why was I alive? Because I'm a member of Toastmaster, because I I've stepped up to be a leader. And I think, yeah, if I can do that and then I can manage that, we can manage Toastmasters during the pandemic. Yeah. The moon is where I'm aiming for. I can do it. Everything's possible. And honestly, I think people can see it, you know, and that's maybe why I got the next job in my career. So in short, I loved it. Thanks, Florian, for inviting me. Look forward to your questions and absolutely, just give it a go. Thank you.
Excellent, Murielle. What a lovely story, and congratulations on a new job. Our final panelist is Svetlana. Svetlana, over to you.
Thank you, Florian. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests and my dear colleagues. It's so nice to see you. Yeah, well, you are in the world of people which you will probably never, ever, ever forget or want to leave. My meeting with Toastmasters was very occasional. I found a trifolder in a public library in Canada, where I moved. I was looking for some, as a newcomer, as for some possibilities to find where do I find people. And I've picked few trifolders. One of them was Toastmasters. You know, Will Rogers say you may never have the second chance to make the first impression. I can definitely tell you it made a strong impression on me. I lived for a time in Canada, but I came back to Europe. And things or benefits I've seen working for Toastmasters for me there in Canada. After a little bit of time of landing in Denmark, in my new country, was only question of time when I will start looking for Toastmasters. I was very much surprised that there's only one club in Copenhagen. I went a few times, but from the place I lived, it took me 6 hours on the road, 2 hours on the meeting, and about 100 euros the whole trip. That was too expensive. And I decided it's cheaper to start a club. So I took a lead. I contacted the Toastmasters headquarters and the job started. It took quite a time to find people. But the most important was for me that I knew the benefits. I knew why it benefited me, and I was much more sure that there are many people who can benefit as well. It helped me to learn my new country. It helped me to meet people from all kinds of parts, with all kinds of jobs. Yes, they were laughing at my Danish. Yes, they were laughing at Toastmasters. Lots of things. But I gathered 12 people, and on January 22nd, 2012, it was the first meeting of our club. So next week, we are to celebrate 9 years. We were the second club. Yeah, thank you. We were the second club, and we were lonely. So at one point of time, it was clear we need some neighbors. So we, on a napkin, I do remember this, we're looking around where can we also start clubs. So that was a journey of 5 years until we created an area in central Denmark. I was not looking for a leadership position. At that time, being here, I had enough experience working with NGOs and as a consultant. So that was not the biggest problem for me. What position will I choose? I had to step in, take over the presidency when our president moved because of the job. And what I learned as a president is that you need to step back, look at all members, and make sure that you represent all interests. And if you think it's easy, try. It went very nice and very interesting. The second role after that was an area director. And I strongly believe that if you want to hold a leadership position within Toastmasters, you need to try president of the club and area director. Because when you're an area director, you don't have access to members. You need to work through the boards. And boy, this is interesting. 7 people, at least 4 clubs, you have 30 people, which are making your life very interesting. But you also learn a lot. Because if you learn to manage your area, then division is easy and district is also piece of cake. Why I'm saying this? I managed with my team to be number 20 out of 100 something districts in the world. It's a great job. It's a tough job, but you learn more about yourself. You learn to appreciate the teamwork. You also learn how important it is to know your members, to represent your members. But you're never alone in this journey. And this has to be something for you as well. Join it. It's a place where you grow. It's a place where you're helped. I still keep in touch with two of my previous colleagues, Bea and Piotr. We were PQDs at the same time. We were district directors at the same time. And although I keep in touch with my past team, I quickly get in touch sometimes at night if I need a question asking Piotr or Bea. So networking, the honest feedback is one thing, but you don't ever think that your role in district will end up as a district director. Immediate past, yeah, but there are possibilities after that. I took part in some committees which had joint members from headquarters, from the board. So you have a chance always be close to Toastmasters, always use your knowledge. But I also try to come back to clubs because here where you see what members need. And now in a pandemic, you learn even more. So my why, I always think at job, people are paid to follow me. They of course can say no. In Toastmasters, they follow because they believe in me or they agree with me. If no, they will just turn around and go because there are plenty of choices. So if you want to see where you are, what do you stand on, try take a leadership position. You will learn so much about yourself and about others. Thank you.
Thank you for this beautiful story, Svetlana. And I've also learned something I didn't know about you, that you started the second club in Denmark. Is it in G-land, in Odense or somewhere else? Oh, in Odense.
It's in Aarhus. It was in Aarhus.
Oh, Aarhus.
Second, the biggest small city in Denmark.
I've been to Denmark 27 years ago as a small kid, but would love to come back. Now I've got one specific question for each of our panelists that relates to their experience. And I'm going to start with Murielle. So in your year as area director, Murielle, you directly and indirectly supported the launch of two new clubs, Witness Speakers and Didcot Speakers through the Oxford Club. What was it like and why launch new clubs?
Why launch new club? Because we need to be everywhere, because there's people out there that want to join Toastmasters and they can't be looking far ahead now. Of course, in the current climate, we could join any club online, but in the real world, then we've got to be physically everywhere and to meet our needs of people. Like I think somebody mentioned, I think it was Svetlana mentioned, she created a club because there was no club where they are. I think Florian, in the same position, you wanted a club near you and there wasn't one. So we've got these people that want to improve their speaking skills, and they haven't got a club for them. So we are providing a service for them. Then we want to build that to a level of 20. We need 20 people to make a nice, to have a community club that is going to be of, that's going to work. So that's the reason we're doing it. And what was it like? Well, I have to say, I was blessed with having people in the area that had some experience, that were passionate about actually driving these as projects. So each club had their own champions and their own, there was like people, coaches or mentors that actually supported that as projects. So as an area director, the key is about building a team and having all these resources and encouraging them to, take on what they want to do. And what it was like, it was wonderful to see that they had the energy to do it. And I know people visited from across the district to support them in their encounter. So it wasn't like a huge stressful thing. It's something that almost happened naturally, Florian, let's be honest. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that, Murielle. Now, my next question is to Ruth. So, Ruth, you mentioned in your story that you were approached by me, I remember it very well, to potentially step up to be admin manager, like pathways through the year. What was it like to kind of step into the district leadership team when you hadn't been area director before and hadn't necessarily been involved in that level just yet? Pathways through the year in early September 2019. What was it like?
Wow. It was very different to being a leader in a club, right? So you found yourself like being part of a team that actually lived a long way from your club and actually lived all over London in different parts. So that took some getting used to, getting to know new members that that you weren't meeting with every week in your club, that you then started meeting up every week to have discussions. Okay, I joined in September, so it was quite late. So yeah, my very first day without any training, I found myself on the top table in a district council meeting. And there was a room full of area directors and division directors. And actually, that's where I met Diane, who's my current Division D director. That was the first time I met her. So what was it like? It was a bit like, wow, like here am I sitting on this big table with all these important people and kind of, yeah, I couldn't quite believe that I was doing it. And, I was somebody that kind of copiously would write notes in meetings, but I never actually ever read them or did anything with them. And so being in the district admin role, I sat through a 3 to 4 hour meeting and then like had the task of putting minutes together. And I didn't find it natural. I did write copious notes, but I said I never ever revisited them. So here I found myself having to revisit them and put them to a purpose. And at the time, it was a painful process. However, I'm pleased to say that I had the resilience to push through. I did complete the whole year. And since then, I've taken up creative writing. I've also, actually, this year, I'm the area director. And when it came to writing my area, like the club visit reports, I actually confessed to Rupert that it was the very first motivated deadline that I had ever worked on. I was up till 2:30 in the morning on the day before the completion date, and I just so wanted to do an amazing job. And I had one club that hadn't completed the final page. And so the following day, it was like the deadline day. And I phoned that company up and I said, look, I haven't got your information. Am I to pull numbers out of a hat, or do you guys have a plan? And that was the club that then stepped up to the challenge. And I asked them a question that I made a statement that Andy Hammond made to us when we were part of the district team right at the beginning. He asked us as a team, does anybody want this team to fail? And so I wrote to one of my corporate clubs and I said, does anybody want this team to fail? Do you guys have a plan? Because I'm not going to just invent this. And I got the reply finally from them about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was able to put that final document in to meet the deadline. I was incredibly proud that all 4 of my clubs completed that form and collaborated with me to create the reports. And I think it was the first time I ever really cared about a piece of work that I was doing. And if I hadn't done the district admin role and faced that challenge of deadlines and persevering, I am not sure that I would have ever got to that stage. And so I'm incredibly grateful for the discipline of that role that helped me do, I would say, an excellent job in writing up the reports this year. Why not?
Excellent, Ruth. And your meeting minutes last year were absolutely amazing, as good as the Houses of Parliament and SARD. Very long, and I didn't help her by saying it should be the official Toastmaster fonts, but it was amazing, amazing. And it's seeing Ruth blossom in the past 2 years has been absolutely amazing. Now,
Thank you.
Lukas, I've got a question for you. When you started your term as district director, you posted a video on Facebook in a lovely summer background in Prague, inviting people to step up to help you and do their personal MBA by kind of helping the district and doing leadership in Toastmaster. Tell us more about this concept of the personal MBA.
Mhm. Personal MBA, it's an idea which is proposed by Tim Ferriss, American blogger and author and life hacker. And when he was thinking how to improve his education, he was thinking, okay, maybe I can do an MBA, and I would invest, I don't know how many. Right, I would just put $20,000, $50,000, and I will spend a year, and I will learn. I will get new skill that will help me become a better investor or a better manager. And then he thought, well, okay, that's one way to do it, but actually all these classes will be theoretical, and I will spend all that money. What are the other things that I can do to, get all this knowledge that I'm looking for? And he concluded, well, I have an idea what I want to learn. So why don't I create my own curriculum and fill it with some real life activities? And actually, I think Toastmasters is brilliant. It's a brilliant platform for exactly that, because the variety of things that you can do, it's so broad. You can learn how to, well, of course, speak in public, but you can also learn how to record videos. So you can learn social media management. Well, basically, it's volunteer organization, right? So nobody is going to prevent you from doing something that you will do for free. And to my invitation to the people in my district and district leadership were, okay, guys, so think about it. What is it that you want to learn today? What are the skills that you want to get? And then put them together and create a curriculum. And, then just do the activities, and you will actually leave the year with these skills. Now, as all of you know, 2020 did a little shake up of all the things that we needed to do in Toastmasters. But actually, it was great because it was yet another impulse. And then, for example, for me, I had to learn not just how to record videos, but I had to learn also how to edit them, because suddenly I couldn't just, visit conferences, but I had to look for new ways how to interact with the people in the district. So I learned editing videos, adding music. I had to subscribe to a website with stock videos and songs, and other things. I had to learn how to write articles. I had to, of course, all of us, we had to learn how to organize breakout rooms because of all the contests, which actually were all the things that I found useful later on at work, right? Because of Toastmasters, I was so far ahead, basically, of all my colleagues in terms of managing meetings online. And therefore, like this 2020 or my district director year, it definitely worked for me as my personal MBA. And I believe also for quite a few people in our district who took the challenge.
Cool. Lovely to learn more about what you've been up to in the last 12 to 18 months. So Svetlana, when you were division director and as you progressed through your role, you started an initiative in Denmark that then took on all over the world, the Club Ambassador Program. Tell us more about why you decided to do that and what was the objective of this initiative? Why this and not something else?
Oh, thank you, Florian. Actually, the idea was born when I was an area director. Denmark is a small country, quite a small. You can drive through the country in one day. Nevertheless, the distance between clubs is quite long. I told you we were the second club. All other clubs we created in central Denmark around us, which means it's still 4 or 5 hours to travel for some clubs to Copenhagen. So I had to somehow, and my area actually at that time included not only clubs in central Denmark, but in Copenhagen and a little bit in Sweden, Malmö, which meant for people to take a train to another country, even if it's all over the bridge, is a little bit of event. So I went sporadically to Toastmasters resources. I couldn't find something specifically for this, but I read about the initiatives, visiting stuff. And altogether, without being very, very experienced in this, I put a club ambassador program. At that time, marketing skills were not the most probably strong on my side and in my area, but at least some clubs picked up and they traveled. So I had few members who traveled, visited clubs, delivered speeches, and seeing the example of this, I took it further to division. Then from division, where I had the whole Scandinavia, I had to go further. I took it to district, and then it went to other districts as well. We managed at division and district conferences to gather what people learned, what they see in other clubs, because this way we're asking, what can you bring back to your club? What did you see there? What thing from your club will you present to others? We found very quickly that with the internet possibilities before Corona, people started to go mostly outside their district and outside their countries, not in their district. So what we had to do is to find reasons how to motivate them to see their own clubs. So we made a bunch of points to see new clubs or struggling clubs or prospective clubs. Well, it's always more exciting to have a picture with a club in Japan or in New Zealand or somewhere else than in Denmark. You think you will always have time to visit your club. But nevertheless, it helped. It also stressed the importance that we learn to deliver a message, that we not only talk about ourselves, but about our country, our clubs, and the value of Toastmasters. What majority said is that the things you learn in Toastmasters, the skills you learn and practice are transferable skills. You can practice them everywhere, whether it's a private company, educational institution, public institution, NGO, you take it everywhere. So we learned by time that we probably were selling Toastmasters also a little bit too narrow. You need to sell it broad. What skills do you need to become better at? What do your company need? Make a list of 3, 5. We can find you projects in the club to help you or roles that will support you. And then, of course, go outside with the Club Ambassador program and tell it. So I was very happy last year to give it away to my colleague in District 95 and only watch from a side how many people use it. And I'm happy that with the help of others, I found a very simple way to motivate people to go around. So this is a Club Ambassador program.
Thank you for this, Svetlana. And we are looking for someone in District 91 to step up and relaunch our Club Ambassador program. So if anybody's interested, feel free to get in touch with me, get in touch with Arno, get in touch with Eleanor, get in touch with anybody. The floor is now open for questions. We're going to have about 20-25 minutes for questions from the floor. And I've seen already a few questions coming in. The first question is from Donna, who has served in the role of Program Quality Director. I am wanting to run for Program Quality Director for 2 years. So we have Lukas and Svetlana and myself that have run for this role. Lukas or Svetlana, who wants to take it? Lukas is unmuted. So Lukas, over to you.
Just to understand the question is whether to run for Program Quality Director. Can the person who
what did you do as Program Quality Director?
Oh, I see. Okay. So my year, I was very lucky because it was the year when we were switching from the old educational program to pathways, And it was big exercise in change management, right? So you have, of course, some of the early adopters. So you had this small group of people who are super enthusiastic. Wow, Pathways is amazing, is the best. And then there was a large group of people who were not really convinced, and quite significant group of people who were quite negative towards Pathways. So what I was looking for was, okay, what is it that we can do to make these people more enthusiastic? So again, I try to nudge the other people in district leadership, and also myself, try to lead by example. All of us, we sign up for Pathways, we start doing our projects. And then as I was doing the projects, I was understanding Pathways better. I also tried to share my experience. So I was sharing blog articles, I was sharing some videos, like approaches or what I learned during these speeches. Of course, if you run for PQD for the next year or for the year after, your task is going to be different. But I think there is one thing that is crucial to be a good program quality director, and that is, I believe that you have to love the program. And I believe that as program quality director, it needs to be someone who actually is doing the projects, doing them rather frequently, because then you have first-hand experience with the educational program and what is it that you're actually responsible for. And that way you can also understand better if some people have struggles. Because I did all these projects in Pathways, and I did like them quite many of them. I did it like frequently, every week, every other week. Of course, I also understood that, they were not all amazing, and especially in the beginning, they were not particularly user-friendly. And I think the people who were complaining, then they appreciated it, even when I was trying to explain, okay, pathways are good. I didn't do it just from a position of program quality director, but as a fellow user of the educational program. So bottom line, as a PQD, learn to love the program and try to go through the same experience as ordinary members in the club are going, because that's the only way how to really understand them.
What a lovely answer, Lukas. Thank you. Svetlana, would you like to add anything?
Well, I can only tell that I was not a CGD club growth director. I had something else to take care of at home. So I jumped in as a program quality director, but I had experience, of course, in creating many clubs around. Lukas is right. You need to love the program. You need to also be sure that you can inspire others, and you are to make sure that you help people to get knowledge by training, and you need to be flexible. At that time, there were not too much of the online training, but you need to make sure that members do have different needs, and you need to find a customized solutions for them. And of course, also make this this project as a team project, because you never succeed in Toastmasters alone.
That's very true. Teamwork makes the dream work. There's a question from one panelist to the other directed at Lukas, the personal MBA. Can Lukas give example of a type of skills journey people may have taken, including leadership roles?
Sure. Again, the variety is very broad, I believe. But just to give an example, you can learn business writing in Toastmasters, right? Because one way how we're spreading information is, of course, we're doing speeches all the time. But if you want to be area director, you want to explain some concepts to the members of your clubs, you can try to write articles. Maybe their problem is they do not know how to attract new members to the clubs. You can try to generate ideas how to do that, but not to just give it in some random order. You can try to put it together in a way that's interesting, entertaining, so that somebody would actually read it, and that would effectively deliver the message. Alternatively, you can try to do something completely different. You can, for example, you can try to improve your management skills. Maybe you just want to organize a team who will do the very same thing. Maybe you just want to organize a team who will do the writing for your district website. I think what's important for the personal MBA is you need to know in advance what are the things that you want to learn, because you cannot do everything. And what I saw the people who are successful as district leaders, each of them was doing something that they were good at as personalities, and they gave that thing that they were best in, or that they wanted to invest their time in, and they give it into their Toastmasters role. And I think the concept of personal MBA helps exactly with giving that focus. Not that you're going to do everything, but okay, in this year, I would like to learn business writing. I would like to learn how to record videos. And I would like to learn, for example, networking, meeting people in conferences, and then following up with some collaboration. Then you have these 3 skills as your personal MBA, and you can utilize your Toastmasters role to get really better at these 3 skills.
Okay. Thank you very much for this example, Lucas. We have quite a generic question from Matthew. What skills and quality are you looking for in the next district leadership team? It's quite a broad question, and who would like to take it? Svetlana, over to you.
Thank you. It depends, but there are some universal skills I think right now we all need to practice. This is ability to adjust to the change and to uncertain environments. Being resilient is very important. How can you help your team adjust and survive? There is no explanation, there is no examples. We probably will have different types of conventions and trainings in the future because we've seen how quickly people can change. If they need, we all switched online. Now, what we are not equipped, I cannot talk about your district, I will talk about my district and my clubs around. Leading, you cannot switch the physical presence to online. Online leadership requires even more leadership. So this we don't have yet. This we need to learn how to do business, how to do Toastmasters business online, how to help them grow. How do you help an area director visit a club online and still be in place to help, to find resources, to support, and so on and so forth? It's a new area, but I believe it's also a new setup of skills, which in the future will be something normal. So adjusting, being open, resilient, and of course, be strong at mind, because this is probably what we need now. We need a vaccine for mental health. The vaccine is on the way, but on the mental health, we need much more. And how to help the members to do this.
Now, thanks very much for these very candid answers, Svetlana. Leadership is great, but it can be very challenging, especially mentally. My years on the district trio have been an emotional roller coaster, especially my year as district director when we moved online, and it was, oh my God, all the dreams, everything got shattered in an instant. It was, I can see Lucas is nodding as well. It was hard for all of us, but this is leadership, and you learn, it's in these moments that we learn together. For me, I'd say a skill or quality that is important in leadership generally, I'd say, is curiosity. Because if somebody has the curiosity to look for information, to ask why, to ask what, to ask how, to go and find the people, it makes everything much easier. Curiosity is what helps people learn skills that they don't have, actually, and that is really important. A specific question from Elizabeth Jordan. 2 questions, actually. Question number 1, which competencies helped you to excel as club growth director? And question number 2, most clubs members do not know much about the district leadership team and its working. How would you improve this? Lucas, do you want to start answering the question?
Sure, definitely. I'll take I first take the second one, if that's okay. How to help people understand what is it to work in a district team. I think the first great step you're taking is just by organizing this event, because clearly by having people see, other people who took leadership roles helps them get an idea. And I think the alternative, what else can we do to help people understand what district leadership roles are about, is I think it will be if more people who are in district leadership roles, if they do more projects, and if as a challenge they try to find a way how to illustrate it, how to describe it, what is it they're doing in a district leadership role. On Toastmaster International website, you have it described what does area director do, what does administration manager do. But I think this is not what most people are looking for. I think most people are looking for either as a role model. By the way, this was what got me into the roles, right? I never knew what district director does until I saw a district director, or I never was motivated to become a district director. And then when I saw a person who was district director in our district, for example, let's give Andrei Popescu, who was district director, and me and Svetlana were in the big team for the whole eastern half of Europe. They say, wow, oh, such a cool guy. He's handling, he can handle a meeting of 300 people, the district council meeting, and he does it with such ease, so lightly, so well prepared. Wow, I want to be like this guy. And I think if we who are now district leaders, or who were district leaders in the past, if we think of ourselves as role models, and we ask ourselves, okay, how can I pass some of my experience to the people who are looking for taking the roles now? I think that would really help us, help people understand what these roles are. And we cannot do it if we, just stay hidden in our homes, or if we always do the counter in our club meetings. I think we can do it if we take the projects, we deliver speeches, or we record videos where we share some of that experience, maybe some of the more exciting part about that roles that will give people, that will help them imagine what it's like to be in a district roles. For the second part of the question, I can pass to Svetlana or whoever else would like to take it.
Was it?
Which competencies helped you excel as club growth director?
As I said, I was not a club growth director, but what helped me to double the number of clubs when I was an area director was that I spoke to people. I never hesitated to say, I can't do things alone. I also learned to say, I don't know. I was not born a Toastmaster. I read the same book. I have a question. I learned that I can always send a question to headquarters, be a little bit busy, and get my answer. It's also okay. They are to serve us and also ask district team. But Lukas is very right. When Andrei Popescu took the role of district director, I told him, if you take a district director, I take a PQD. Because we all need these role models. I see something in you, this speech which became, and the phrase which became very, very symbolical, but it's true. But I also learned something else on my way. Not all people, not all members should become leaders. Sometimes there are more damage than benefit. And as a laboratory, I would suggest it's still okay to try in a club and see, because if you try a half of 7 roles, you can quickly spot if the person is fitting or able to learn. Sometimes people better keep improving at speaking skills, competing in competitions, representing district, making workshops, delivering excellent job. For some of them, leading is a punishment. They end up doing by themselves. There is something which is not always always helping. I've also seen roles, and it also was, I met in my teams also, when it was too much pain. People burn very much. And this is not that people are not able to learn, they do. And in the long term, many can. But they burn because we are in this year project and we need to deliver almost from the first day. And that is stressful. Now, when I'm asked to help someone, I always insist on that person writes on a piece of paper along to the year plan of the district or the role. What do you have at home for yourself and what do you have at work? Sometimes you need to be realistic and say, I take a year off. I took a year off, not applying for CGD because I had to do something at home, which was much more important. And that probably you need to be honest with yourself first. You need to be open. You need to be also open to ask. And I also think that you should not think that, no, I'll take now area director and that's it. That's too little. So much is invested by Toastmasters and you that you need to follow. There are many teams, many roles. But again, I learned sometimes you need to say to a person, it's not for you. It is too early. Learn, take a role. And I like the initiative that Lark once voiced up, that we bring new members in a club. Why don't we, when we end up a term, don't help another leader, another member to become a leader? Then we can double the number of officers. Imagine all of us bringing one leader. We will have 78 leaders. Then there is no problems of, then there is a huge competition for DLC. Keep them busy at the interviews.
Thank you for this, Svetlana. It actually ties in quite nicely to a question that Olga asked. How is the next district leadership team formed? Elections for every role, or the district director selects the team? I will take that question, and there will be a short presentation at the end as well that covers some of this. Area directors in District 91 are elected by their area council. This year, what you are introducing are interviews, though, so that you can get to learn about the role. You're on a candidates list, and we can basically say, well, if you don't get elected elsewhere, you're on a pool to potentially be nominated in an area that doesn't have anybody elected. For division director, program quality, club growth director, program quality director, and district director, it is an election by the district council, which is all the club president and VP in a district. Roles like administration manager, finance manager, and public relations manager in District 91. We will be conducting interviews for these roles as well this year, and we will be recommending one or maybe two people for nomination by the incoming district director. Svetlana, do you want to add something quickly?
Yeah, I had a very unique experience when I got elected as area director. The person which came second, unfortunately, of course, he was sad, but I did contact him and I suggested that he shadows me in everything I do. So I talked to a person as a second area director, as my twin. He was as my twin as an area director. He was my twin as a division director. That made the switch so smooth. So for people who don't know the roles and want to see how the roles are, ask to shadow, ask to be and then you decide if it's for you or not.
This is a very good point, because we can become assistant, we can do a role like becoming the club ambassador, program coordinator in the district. That way we're kind of in, but not in completely. It's a bit of a way to kind of step up. There's going to be one final question before I switch track to the closing presentation, and I'm going to kind of put two questions together that way. Based on your experience, what are the factors holding most people back from taking on leadership roles? In my experience, is because many people think they need the skills before they take on the role rather than the other way around. And there was a comment as well. Are there any downsides to becoming a member of the district leadership team? So I'll get all four of our panelists to do a quick answer on that one. Svetlana, you got your hands up, so you go first.
Okay, that was from the last one. Well, the downside that you need to be clear that you have only 1 year in that role. But I would say you need to dream big. Why don't people step in? I believe it's a communication, it's our communication. We believe people will see and they will follow us. No, we need to speak. Every single possibility you have to speak up and say what in your role you learn and why you would suggest others to do this. I did it last year with Bia, and we gathered a group of women in region 10 to convince them to take leadership roles, because we did some roles and we wanted to encourage others to do it. So that's important. Speak up and help others. What was that? What
Can
are
we move on to the next person, please, in the interest of time? Sorry, Svetlana. Ruth, over to you.
What's the biggest thing holding people back? Okay, so I'd like to summarize this in a statement: finding reasons to do something or finding reasons not to do something. So I think if you're of a mindset, even subconscious, where you say, oh, I don't think I can do that because. So for example, I initially didn't go for area director role when I was asked a year before, because some of the corporate clubs have lunchtime meetings, and I thought because I was in a full-time role, I wouldn't be able to manage lunchtime meetings. And I was in a mindset whereas I could only see reasons not to. Then when I'd spent a whole year as part of the division team, I was then ready for the challenge of an area director role, and I could only see reasons to do things. And what I will say is that I slipped into this role like effortlessly, whereas the district admin role for me was a real challenge. The area director role, I'm absolutely loving it. It's just so much more my skill set of like helping club presidents, advising them, just kind of preparing, training, teaching, kind of, I don't know, I just feel so much more me in this role, and I absolutely love it. And I think that's the thing about experiential learning, you know, try all the roles out, because it'll teach you what you are best at. And if you're not that, you know, if one role is more challenging, it's only for a year and you're going to grow from it anyway. But it's a way to find out who you are and what you're good at. So give it a go.
Thanks, Ruth. Murielle, over to you for that one.
What is holding people back? For me, my experience, so just to get to the area level, is potentially time. People haven't got the time. They feel they can't do justice to the role because they have other commitments. Now, it is a fair point. I think one should be realistic. We should have obviously some ability to manage time, and that's what, as Slovena said, is something we should have proven or being confident. Maybe we've tried at the club level. But we're not on our own. So when people say that, I say, well, actually, you're going to have an assistant area director and a team to help you manage. So you learn to delegate. And that's very much what I learned myself. So time is key, but it's about having the ability to, you know, maybe not do everything yourself and delegate and learn these management skills. So that's the answer I would say. What's the one downside? I think you've got to be committed, but it's 1 year. It's only 1 year. And that's the great thing about Toastmasters, is not for life. You know, there's some other charities, if you give them that and, you know, they ask for that. Here, we're only asking for 1 year. So if you feel you can plan and see that you're committed to that role for 1 year, then just go for it. That's all I'd say.
Thanks, Murielle. And last but not least, Lukas, over to you to close.
To the question, what prevents people from stepping up to officer roles? I think asking about if there's, for example, one person that I want to take area director because I think that would be great. I think it's the same as me asking, why does this girl why does she not want to go for a date with me? And because the answers, they can be many. And I think we can never solve this on an individual level because many people have very valid reason. Like Svetlana mentioned, she had some important thing in her family happening, so she just could not step up for a leadership role in one specific year. But maybe if I want to increase my chances and in general, have somebody to go out for a date with me, there's a set of aspects I can look into. Maybe I have a bad breath. Maybe, I'm super boring, so I should build up my joke library. Maybe my clothes are terrible. And I think this is the same way how we can think about attracting people to district leader roles. There's a lot that we just need to find. We need to ask ourselves, okay, how do we make this the best way how somebody spends their time? There will always be people who will have valid reasons why not to do it. But what we need to do is we need to improve our chances with everyone. To the second question, the downside. The first is I love public speaking. I love contests. So of course, for me, it was downside. I could not compete. But on the other hand, I actually got many, many more speaking opportunities in district leader roles, doing different workshops, not just within my own district, but also outside. And for the time being, you can always go compete to Russia. They're not restricted, so you can just go there and speak in a speaking contest. The other downside is it's actually a commitment. I think it's important for everyone to understand that you really cannot do 10 different things well. So I think the downside, but also responsibility is if somebody really goes for taking that district role, they should eliminate significant amount of other obligations because they will not be able to do 10 things well. They're able to do just, okay, so everybody has work, everybody's a family, then it's Toastmasters, and that's just a limited amount of other things that we can manage in a day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lukas. Thank you very much to our panelists, Ruth, Murielle, and Svetlana. Let's give them a big round of applause, everybody. Because they've done a brilliant job. They were very open and honest, very candid. And this is what I like. This is exactly what we want. And yes, as Lukas said, you can still be district director potentially and potentially compete in Russia. It's I haven't done it myself, but I wish I had by going to that conference in December 2018. I thought the weather was very beautiful, very cold as well, but hey. Quick few words on the next steps. So if any of you are interested in stepping up to district leadership in District 91, if it's in another district, it's going to be a case of going on your district website and finding the information. But the next steps here in District 91, first of all, eligibility criteria. You need to be a member in good standing of a club in good standing, and you need to have been a member of a club in District 91 for the past 12 months or 12 months within the last 3 consecutive years. There are additionally eligibility criteria for the division director role and the roles on the district trio. So club growth director, program quality director, or district director. You can find them on Toastmasters International, and they're also on the application form as well. Any of the other role, area director, PR manager, finance manager, admin manager, I wouldn't say it's a free for all. Experience is always beneficial, but there are no eligibility criteria per se. And unfortunately, if one of you applies and is not eligible, well, I'll put a note in the spreadsheet that says no. But so far, nobody's tried their luck in that way. There's a lovely online application form, a Google form. We'll try to make it as easy as possible for you to apply. And I'm going to send the link to the form in the chat. It's over there. The form is going to be active until the 31st of January at 23:59. At midnight, it will be closed. The only extension that might be considered is to up to 7 o'clock in the morning on the Friday, because it's going to be midnight Denver time. So we can still kind of go away with it and with HQ time. But please, it's the last 2 weeks. Send in your application. We're looking to organize interviews as a team. And also, you're going to have to do some homework before an interview. Some open-ended question about the role, your motivation. There's no kind of set way to answer them. You can do a mind map, you can do a Word presentation, a Word document, however you want. We'll ask you to take the Big 5 personality test. The results are for you to see if it matches and what you can learn as a leader from that. And then you're going to have to do a presentation in the interview as well. 10 to 15 minutes for most of the roles. If it's the trio role, it's going to be 2 separate interviews. The interviews are hopefully going to be starting this week. I've already had some people saying, hey, I'm available. It's my pre-work. It will be an hour long, divided between a short presentation and some questions. If you apply to step in as a member of the district trio, you will go through 2 interviews. A presentation over an hour and like a formal interview over an hour. It is a bit of a stronger process for trio roles because the roles are more important and there are going to be more people interviewing you. The members of the district leadership committee are all very nice people who I can personally vouch for them. If you want some feedback, we'll give you feedback. Your interviewers will get in touch and give you some feedback, or myself for some of the other roles. As has been mentioned during this webinar, there is support available to district leaders. We train you twice a year. We'd like to do it a residential one in District 91. If it's going to be possible again come June, we don't know yet. Travel expenses, your mileage, it's reimbursed. If you've got to drive, it's 30 pence a mile. You can reclaim online. It's pretty easy. You get some money off for attending the district conference as a bit of a thank you. And there are mentoring opportunities as well from people on this panel, from myself, from other leaders. There's plenty of opportunities to get mentored. So in summary, what I'd say is take the leap, send your application. The form is live for another 2 weeks. I've had quite a few applications so far for division and area director roles, but not necessarily very many for the other roles in the team. Go ahead, send in your application, and just go ahead. And yes, Eleanor, myself, and some others, we're going to have to drop off to join our weekly leadership team call. But thanks, everybody, and big thanks to our panelists again.
Thanks, Florian. Thanks, everyone. Just quick question, Florian, can I drop a message in case anyone wants to connect or stay in touch?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
If you want to share emails, share phone numbers, please do it.
Okay, so everyone, in case you feel in touch, feel free to connect over Facebook. You'll find me by my name, and you can also check out my blog, lukasliebich.com. I'm just sharing it in the chat. It was amazing to be here with you, Florian. Thanks for inviting us, and thumbs up to all the fellow panelists and the organizers of this event. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lukas. Thanks, Svetlana. Thanks, Murielle, and thanks, Ruth.
Lovely. Florian, thank you very much indeed. What a fantastic hour and a quarter. And for those of you who may have been on the fence, hopefully you'll be raring to go for district leadership roles. Florian and the panel, thank you very much indeed. Next Sunday, it is a really important webinar. It's the return of Neil Coleman, who is our District 91 Chief Judge, talking about rules for contests. So if you are planning to be a contest chair, a judge, a chief judge, a speaker, this is a webinar that you really need to attend. Check out the District 91 webinar page. It's got all the registration details on there, and we'll be live again at 7 o'clock British time next Sunday. And we look forward to seeing you then. The webinars, by the way, will be updated on the calendar during the week. We are now booked up until the end of April. So there aren't many more slots left on the webinar. If you want to run one, please do get in touch. All that remains for me to do is to once again thank Florian and our panelists who've done an amazing job this evening. Thank you to everybody who has turned up tonight. It's always great to see lots of really enthusiastic and interactive people on our webinars. Please, whatever you're doing, stay safe. And we look forward to seeing you next weekend. So from Florian, myself, and the panelists, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Andy. And yes, Colleen, anybody can attend the judges webinar.